tell you, Elle be getting on my nerve. And now I understand how much I get on folks' nerves, the people around me with my smart ass mouth, because this little girl got a smart ass mouth. I love this character. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, King Nikki TV, where I give you commentary on popular movies and TV shows. In this video, I will be recapping episode 2 of the HBO Max series, The Last of Us. Y'all, I done seen this episode about 3 times. It's so good. If you haven't, you should definitely be watching this show. I will be covering it weekly, so make sure you are subscribed for that. Now, this episode pretty much is in the same formula as the last episode, where we start off with a little backstory, and this is pre-apocalypse. And we have a professor of the University of Indonesia who this is pretty much her specialty, this fungus and all that stuff. And the military enlists her to help them because a woman who works at a factory showed up to work, got aggressive, bit a few people, but she has a bite on her. And come to find out, within not much time, I think they said within a few hours of quarantining the few people or having them under observation, they had to be put down. And the professor is kind of like, this isn't for humans. When they first give her the little specimen to look at, she's like, well, why did y'all prepare this slide this way? That's how you prepare a slide for humans or whatever. And she goes to look at the body of the factory worker, and she goes to slice into where her bite is, and it's just like no blood comes out. It's just the fungus. And she goes to open her mouth and she pulls out those little, I can't remember the exact wording of what they are technically called, but it's just the little fungus strings, child. The little zombie fungus strings that be growing out of the infected mouth. And she gets so shook, she runs out of there. And I'm with you later, I don't blame you. Now, she's having a conversation with the military guy, and he's like, we don't even know who bit her, so we can't even track them down to stop this from spreading, pretty much. And there are 14 other factory workers missing. So all 14 could be infected, or one could be infected. We have no idea. And he's telling her, what can we do? We called you because we need some type of medicine, some type of vaccine. And she pretty much lays it straight like, look, bro. She said, bro, but y'all get what my gist. But she like, look, bro, I've been doing this my whole life. I have been studying this for my whole life. The only thing you could do is pucker up and kiss your ass goodbye. Basically, she was like, bomb the city. Bomb the entire city and everybody in it. And they both are pretty freaking somber. It's a freaking somber scene. And she's kind of crying and like, can somebody just drive me so I can be with my family in the last moments of life? It is just so crazy to think, like, and I always say, like, my thing that I like to do, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people who watch movies do this, is anytime I watch a movie where somebody's like life or death or fighting for their life, I always try to think, how can I survive, right? And my biggest thing is, at least can I have the chance to fight for my life? Like in The Matrix, when he just unplugged old girl and she like, not like this. Not like this. I felt that, because not like this. Like, even if I have to lose, I at least want to be able to fight for my life. So the fact that she is just like, it is literally nothing we can do. All we can do is just motherfucking die. We gotta die alone with the infected. And I really hate that, because what about the people that ain't infected? But I get it. Now, we go back to present day, where we pick up where we left off last time, when we found out that Elle is infected. She's gone with Tess and Joel to try and get to the Fireflies. And she wakes up, and the directing, everything is amazing. Like, I've seen this episode 3 times, and I'm just blown away every single time I watch it. Really one of my favorite TV shows in a long time, but I don't really want to, talk like that because it's only episode 2, child. But I'm always just head over heels for any HBO Max original. But Tess and Joel are pretty much on guard because the young lady is infected. But she's trying to tell them, like, look, I'm not sick. And when I tell you, Elle be getting on my nerve. And now I understand how much I get on folks' nerves, the people around me with my smart ass mouth, because this little girl got a smart ass mouth. I love this character. And she's pretty much explaining to them, look, I got bit, but I'm not infected. I'm not sick. She shows them the bite on her arm, which is pretty much just healing up. Like, she's not infected. And Joel and Tess have a conversation, and Joel is pretty much like, we need to just go back to the QZ, the quarantine zone, drop her off. She ain't our problem. And when one of my favorite lines, this is such a well-written show, and there's so many lines I love, but one of the lines I love is while they're having this conversation, Elle goes off to use the bathroom or, squat somewhere. There's no bathroom. And they're having this conversation. Tess wants to just move forward so that, remember, our original agenda was to do this so that we can get a battery because we need to go help Tommy. Remember Uncle Tommy, like, we supposed to be trying to get to him. And Tess is just like, we need to just do this so we can get that battery. Now, once Elle comes back, Tess go over to the little girl. She said, look, I'm finna talk to you like an adult. Me and Joel are not good folk. We are not good people. I don't know why I love that line. I love some, like, bad, good characters. Like, baby, we are not good people. We are doing this because we are going to get something out of it. So I suggest you tell me everything you motherfucking know. And she just kind of like, God dang, Marlene told me not to tell nobody, and I'm telling the first motherfuckers that I see. I feel you, Elle. But she pretty much starts giving them the spiel of how she could be the end of all of this, a cure, a vaccine. And that's when Joel is just like, heard it all before on his Sunshine Anderson, and it's like, is this what this is? Like, for real? Oh, he definitely done now. Like, he already ain't really want nothing to do with the little girl. You can kind of tell from their limited interactions how he, just be kind of standoffish, and his body language and attitude. He really don't want nothing to do with the little girl. And so now with this as a cherry on top, he's just like, oh, hell no, we done heard this before. Like, this is what this is. But Tess is kind of like, no, hold on now. It doesn't matter if this is real or not. If the Fireflies believe it's real, then she is worth a lot for us. So they decide to just continue to move on. And something that they introduced, because remember, my last video, I was saying I'm not familiar with the game or anything. Didn't see any preview. So I'm not really clear on the rules of this world as far as this virus and how all that stuff wrapped up with the virus. So we're kind of Elle in this episode where there's a lot that they come in contact with that has to be explained to Elle that she's not familiar with. She ain't really been living on the edge like these two. She ain't been out in the world. She was born into this, and she was always raised in the QZ zone. So she's never been in the free city. So when she's getting information, it's pretty much us as the audience getting educated as well, unless you're familiar with the game. And something that I thought was really interesting was the way this virus works. And in the inside the episode, all of this stuff that they put in here with this freaking fungus and all that stuff is like all factual. And pretty much like out in the forest, if you step on, I forgot the exact word they use. I think it's like a C word. But basically, the way it works in the TV show is if you step on the little thread in one area, it communicates to all the other infected, and the hordes will just come after you. I really like that because that's scary as hell. That was a really good idea. And they were saying how in the game it was actually spores that was in the air, but they changed it because it just wasn't realistic that it would be localized and not just everywhere, which makes a lot of sense. Now, we end up not being able to just go the long way like outside. We see it's a big old horde that's gathered. They just all laying there, sleeping child in their slumber. I don't know what the hell they doing, but they just laying there. So we got to go through this building. We going to... Which one? Because I feel like we went to two buildings. We went into a hotel first that was kind of flooded with water. And then, we went into the hotel. And then something that was changed from the last time Joel and Tess was here, something fell and it was kind of blocked off. So Tess had to crawl through to let them in because we're kind of going across buildings instead of walking down in the streets. So then we end up in this, well, we in the hotel at the museum. Y'all, oh, and I saw this 3 times. And I can't hardly remember because we was in 2 different buildings. But anyway, the suspense with this show be freaking killing me. Like my nerves be tore the hell up. Now, we get in, and I'm already like on edge, just like waiting for something. And then Elle sees this guy who done been told to fuck up. And you could tell that Tess and Joel kind of know what's up. Elle is kind of in the dark. And she's like, what the hell did that? Like, she freaking out like I'm freaking out. Like, what did that? Because I done been attacked by the infected, and that ain't what the infected do. So I'm freaking out. And also, remember, we saw a little preview in the last episode, and I could have sworn I peeped some little monsters in the preview. So I'm on edge like, okay, I could have sworn I saw monsters. So what's going to go down? But anyway, we end up telling Joel and Tess tell Elle, look, from here on out, we're not going to be quiet. We got to be silent. We can't talk. And they're talking about, well, we would have heard him or something like that. And she's like, who do we have heard? And I'm sitting here too, like, and honestly, at this point, I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't know if it's like some rogue gang of people out here. Like, you know how Bird Box is the what comes to mind. How in Bird Box you had them crazy folk that will make you open your eyes and like get infected. That's what I'm thinking. Like, wait, is it like some little rogue crazy gang that will like infect people? Like, who is it that we should hear or something? But anyway, we're walking through, and all of a sudden we just hear that noise they make. And we see these freaky infected people that y'all don't even know what the hell this stuff is. They just got the fungus and stuff growing all over their faces. And they got it like coming out of them. Like, what was that? Was it on Mortal Kombat? It was some game where you had these like silver like slicing thing. Okay, anyway, I can't think what it was. But anyway, they're just like freaking covered. And I found out in the inside episode, they're called clickers. And the way they made these it's no type of like CGI anything. It's just all reality. Like they made these people look like this, and it's just so freaking cool, the prosthetics and stuff they did. But anyway, he tells Elle like, look, they can't see, but they can only hear. So we're in there creeping, and all of a sudden Elle just kind of like breathes. And that's when them things go after them. Y'all, this was so freaking intense. It goes at Joel. He tells Tess and little girl to run, but Tess is running, but she's so busy looking at Joel getting attacked, she falls over something. Elle runs. Now we don't follow Tess as she's leading the clicker away with her. Elle is on the ground, Joel fighting his. And at first I was like, y'all niggas can't shoot, because they kept shooting at the clickers, but they were still coming at them. So I'm like, y'all can't shoot, are y'all missing? But no, there is a part where Joel shoots the clicker in the head and he's still coming forward. I guess you have to like penetrate all the little growth on their head in order to actually hit the brain to kill it. But I was like, God dang, I feel like he used the whole clip on like one clicker. It was so insane. But something I did not peep on my first watch that I peeped on my rewatch is when a clicker comes after Joel and Elle, and again, remember, Tess isn't in the frame. We don't follow her. They kill that clicker, but then another clicker comes after them. That's when Tess pops back in the scene and takes it out. Now, that second clicker that came after them, that was over there attacking Elle, it looked like he had fresh blood on his mouth and down his chest. And I was like, wait a minute. I didn't notice that on first watch. Now, we end up going on, get to the Fireflies. And now I'm like, really? This show is so unpredictable for me because I'm so just not familiar. Now, I initially thought from episode 1 that the whole premise and everything we would be doing all season, the whole point of the show was Tess and Joel trying to get Elle to the Firefly meet. I'm thinking we had like a long journey. Nah, babes, we're there. Episode 2, we're there. We got to the meetup for the Fireflies, but once we get here, It ain't the scene we thought it would be. And I really wish we could have seen what went down, because it looked like some insane-ish happened, and I wish we could have seen it play out. But we get there and it's just blood everywhere. We follow a blood trail into the building and everyone is freaking dead. And Joe pretty much is like, somebody got infected. The healthy fought the infected, everybody lost. So I'm going to presume somebody got their behind bit and ain't say nothing, like a freaking jerk and coward, ain't say nothing, and ended up turning and attacking everybody in the group. So now Joel is just like, all right, shoot, nigga, I ain't even really want to be here on this mission. But Tess is kind of like getting frantic, like, okay, Elle, where were they taking you? It got to be some other fireflies. Where were they taking you? And all Elle know is Marlene said west. That's all she know. So Tess is just frantic. She looking around. She's like, Joel, can you help me? Somebody got to have a map, something on them. And Joel's just like, nah, we go home. But Tess is like, that ain't my home. Like, I don't have a home. I'm not going back. And that's when it just hits and Ella's like, she's infected. And sure enough, baby got bit on her neck. Oh, it made me so sad. Like, y'all, this scene for me was so gut-wrenching. Oh my God. And it's just such a testament to the material and to the actress, because we haven't even been with this character for very long, but this death really it hits and it's so massive. I really like the character of Tess. I would have really loved to see her longer. We only got her for 2 episodes and I really like her. I used to like that show Fringe. But now, one thing that movies and TV shows and stuff do that I really don't like is, like in the movie X, when old boy going to the barn and the camera pans to the nail ahead of him, kind of foreshadowing that he gonna step on the nail. I really hate that. Like, okay, you're showing us a nail and he gonna step on the nail. Wow, great. So when Tess is looking around, knocking herself over, some grenades fall and the camera pans to the grenades on the ground. One of the infected wake up, scared the hell out of me. And Joel kills him, but the little tentacles, that's what it was called. I think that's what I couldn't think of. The little tentacles, like I said earlier when they was explaining it to us, it communicates. So now that horde that's outside is coming for us, and we got less than a minute, right? So I'm sitting here like, okay, obviously the camera pan to the grenades is foreshadowing. I know what's gonna happen. Tess gonna sacrifice herself, obviously, because she already dead. So they can get away. And I just knew that Tess was going to get the grenade and pull the pin just as the infected was bursting through the doors, and the horde would come behind her and she would have the pin pulled and it would explode. I just knew that's what was going to happen. And it would have been fire if that's what happened, but that ain't what happened, baby. This show, it's keeping you on your toes. So this part was also kind of weird, but maybe I'm just not smart enough and scientific enough to understand. But she tells Joe, it was so many great lines, but another great line was, save who you can save. Oh, it's so sad. This show is so freaking sad. So Joel grabs Joel grabs Elle, which he didn't even really want to do. Tess was trying to tell him, look, I have never asked you for anything. I haven't even asked you to feel the same way I feel. So it's kind of like she was in love with him or something like that, but he didn't reciprocate. But obviously felt something for her, just not the same thing she did. And she's like, get her to Frank. We got to continue the mission. I'm going to buy y'all some time. Save who you can save. And it kind of made my mind go back to after the big altercation, Elle had got bit again. And Joel goes into, okay, she ain't changed from the first bite, but now the second one. And Tess is like, can we have something good for a second? Like, can we have some kind of good news? Like, can you? But now it's like, no, bitch, we can't, because now you got to, like, every time you turn around, it's something bad. But then again, that's why I get what she was saying. Like, it keeps being something. So if it's something positive, can we just not already just foreshadow and jump to something terrible happen with you, assuming this second bite is going to take her out? But it's just like, God dang. So they run. He forces Elle, because she's like, no, let go of me. We ain't leaving her. And Tess knocked over these drums of gasoline or something. The whore bursts in. She's trying to flicker this lighter. It's not freaking working. Of course. And the infected is running past her, right? And initially, my thought process is, she's already infected, so they're ignoring her. You know what I mean? Like, we can sense you're infected too, so we don't even care about you. That's what I initially thought. But then an infected notices Tess, and that's when I'm like, oh, they just ain't see her over there in the cut over to the right. But now one of them see her. She's trying to flicker the light. It ain't working. Now this infected comes up close to her. And y'all, I'm sitting here thinking of all kind of stuff because this show is depressive as hell. I mean, they done killed off 2 damn kids, so I don't even know how. It's a dark ass show, so I don't even know where we gonna go. So I'm sitting here wondering, is Tess finna like get ripped apart, ate alive? Like, I don't know what's finna happen. But the stupid infected thing comes up to her face. She's still trying to flicker the lighter and puts those tentacles in her mouth. And this is when I said it ain't really make sense to me, but maybe I'm just not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to science. I don't get why the infected is like French kissing. That ain't make sense to me. Why did it? And she's already infected. So why did it come up to her and put the little tentacles in her mouth? Y'all, that hurt me. Don't put that nasty ish in my mouth. I'd rather you bite me. I'd rather get sliced up by the clickers. I don't want that nasty stuff in my mouth. I felt so bad. I was like, this girl do not deserve this. But while he got the little things in her mouth and he giving her the fungus, French kiss, she's able to flicker the lighter and she blows the place up. And it was really interesting in the inside the episode when the actress who plays Tess was talking about like her redemption. And I'm just like, it's no telling what her and Joel has had to do in order to survive. And her just saying, we are not good people. Like that just, okay. Like I felt like it was just so much behind that. And y'all, this acting is just so freaking top tier. And what's so crazy to me about these actors is, when people are acting like you have lines you have to say, but it really be looking like they be thinking before they like say something. Like it really feels like it's real. Like the characters are actually trying to process what's happening as opposed to like just knowing your line. I don't know. I just love how it just all plays out. Okay, guys, I don't know what happened, but I don't have the rest of my footage and I don't feel like getting up and recording all over again. This is a minute after I recorded. So the end of this will be a voiceover. But basically where the footage left off at, that was pretty much the end of the episode. We end the episode seeing Elle and Joel outside of the building as it blows up. Great shot of Elle in front of the building with all the scenery and everything. Now, this was so gut-wrenching, and I'm just thinking about earlier in the episode when Joel says, this isn't going to end well, Tess. And I'm just like, the minute he said it, I was just feeling like famous last words. Like, these are famous last words. This isn't going to end well. And, yeah, it did not end well for Tess, but it is just so sad. But now I'm just like, okay, so where do we go now with the story? Because initially I thought the whole point in the whole, main plot of the show was us trying to get Elle to the meet with the Fireflies. But we got there in episode 2. Like, it's episode 2 and we're here. So now where do we go from here? What's the plot now? Because we can't just go west. I'm also curious if we are going to meet up with Marlene again. She was hurt. I want to say she was shot, if I remember correctly. So she is likely behind them. So by the time she gets to this meetup, baby, the building is blown up. It's gone. I'm going to presume, that the immediate plot obviously is our derivative direction, whatever, is for us to get to Frank. But yes, Elle is a cure, but what are we supposed to do with that? Where are we supposed to go? Who are we supposed to trust with this to actually use it for good? Now, on the inside the episode, baby, them clickers, the way they made those clickers, man, such a phenomenal job. And they were saying how they wanted the reaction of people who are not familiar with the game to be like, oh my God, baby, that was my reaction. Like, y'all understood the assignment. That is exactly what happened. The guy was saying like Neil knows how to create fear. Baby, I don't know who Neil is, but Neil did a good ass job. This series is definitely off to a very freaking good start. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think about episode 2? What do you feel about the show so far? Thank you so much for supporting the content. As always, I will see you in the next one. Thank you.